Can you imagine surviving winter with nothing but a few pantry staples? Today, we're going to take a trip down memory lane and revisit forgotten foods that once sustained families during the freezing months. These meals weren't just about survival. They represented resilience, creativity, and tradition in harsh times. By the end of this video, I'll reveal a surprising dessert that was essential in the past, but is now nearly extinct. How many of these winter survival foods do you remember? Salt pork. Salt pork was a winter essential for many American families, especially before refrigeration. Pork was heavily salted and stored in barrels to preserve it for months, making it a reliable source of protein during the cold months. Salt pork was often used in stews, soups, and beans, providing both flavor and fat in hearty meals that could keep a family full and warm. Did your family ever use salt pork in winter meals? Hit like if you want to bring back those old school recipes. Hardtack. Hardtack was a virtually indestructible cracker made from simple ingredients like flour, water, and salt. With an incredibly long shelf life, it became essential for soldiers, sailors, pioneers, and settlers facing long winters or journeys. Known for its extreme hardness, earning nicknames like tooth duller, it often had to be softened in liquids like water, milk, or coffee to become chewable. While it was bland and tough, its ability to last for years made it a crucial survival food. Hardtack was especially common during the Civil War, keeping soldiers alive in harsh conditions. Hardtack also played a significant role in exploration, as it could be easily stored without refrigeration. Explorers and seafarers carried it on expeditions, knowing it would sustain them through long, difficult voyages. Modern survivalists still respect hardtack for its durability and ease of preparation, often recreating this classic food for emergency supplies. Have you ever tried making hardtack at home? Let us know. Canned mutton. During harsh winters, families relied heavily on canned meats, with canned mutton being a common choice. It was a hearty and long-lasting source of protein that could be easily stored and accessed when fresh meat wasn't available. Canned mutton was often used in stews, soups, or mixed with potatoes for a filling meal. The unique, rich flavor made it memorable for those who grew up with it, though it has largely faded from modern kitchens. Who remembers the taste of canned mutton? Share your thoughts in the comments. Suet pudding. Suet pudding was a rich, hearty dessert that brought warmth and comfort during harsh winters. Made from beef or mutton fat, suet, flour, sugar, and a variety of dried fruits like raisins. This pudding was steamed for hours, releasing a wonderful aroma that filled homes. The dense texture made it highly filling, which was essential for families relying on hearty meals in cold months. Traditionally, suet pudding was a Christmas treat but was often enjoyed throughout winter, becoming a symbol of warmth, resourcefulness, and family togetherness. In some variations, spices like cinnamon and nutmeg were added, making the dessert even more flavorful. It was often served with a drizzle of sweet syrup or a simple cream sauce, adding richness to the already indulgent dish. For many, suet pudding was more than just food. It was part of a cherished family tradition, a recipe passed down from generation to generation, ensuring that even during the coldest of times, there was something comforting to look forward to. Who remembers this dense, filling winter treat? Dried beans and peas. Dried beans and peas were among the most reliable winter survival foods for many families. These legumes, including navy beans, kidney beans, black-eyed peas, and split peas, could be stored for long periods without spoiling. Once soaked and cooked, they provided a hearty, protein-rich base for many winter dishes. Beans and peas were often paired with smoked meats, salt pork, or root vegetables, and simmered into soups, stews, and casseroles. Not only were they nutritious, but they also stretched ingredients further during tough times, making them a budget-friendly and filling option. Split pea soup, for example, became a favorite winter dish, often made with leftover ham bones. Bean stews, seasoned with spices or herbs, were a staple in many households. The beauty of dried beans and peas was their versatility. They could be flavored in countless ways depending on what was available, making them a crucial part of winter food preparation. Cracked wheat porridge. Cracked wheat porridge was once a vital winter food that sustained families with its hearty and filling nature. Made from coarsely ground wheat, it was cooked slowly to create a thick, nourishing meal that could be served sweet with honey, molasses, or dried fruit for breakfast, or savory with meat, butter, or leftover vegetables. This grain-based dish was favored for its long shelf life, ease of preparation, and its ability to provide essential nutrients when fresh produce was scarce. The slow cooking process also released the natural flavors, making it a comfort food in the coldest months. Today, cracked wheat is seeing renewed interest among health-conscious individuals who appreciate its whole grain benefits, fiber, and versatility in modern recipes. Although once a necessity for winter survival, it remains a nutritious and nostalgic dish worth reviving in modern kitchens. Would you bring back this wholesome porridge for your winter mornings? Share your thoughts on how you'd prepare it today. Root vegetables stored in cellars. For centuries, families depended on root vegetables like potatoes, carrots, beets, and turnips to survive the long winter months. These hardy crops were carefully stored in root cellars, underground rooms designed to maintain a stable temperature and humidity, where they could be kept for months without spoiling. Root vegetables were an essential part of winter meals, providing essential nutrients like fiber, vitamins, and minerals when other fresh foods were unavailable. They were often roasted, mashed, or added to stews, ensuring that families had hearty, nutritious meals throughout the cold season. Storing vegetables in root cellars was a widespread practice, especially in rural areas, where it served as a vital means of food preservation. The process involved packing the vegetables in layers of straw, sand, or sawdust to prevent moisture from causing decay, ensuring the produce remained fresh. This practice not only extended the shelf life of the vegetables, but also helped reduce waste, making every harvest count. Cornmeal mush. Cornmeal mush was a staple in many households, especially during harsh winters. This simple dish was made by boiling cornmeal in water or milk, creating a thick porridge that was both affordable and filling. For breakfast, families often sweetened it with molasses, honey, or syrup, providing a warm and comforting start to the day. It could also be served as a savory dinner dish, topped with gravy or cheese, or fried into golden slices for a crispy meal the next day. Cornmeal mush was a versatile, budget-friendly food that could be adapted to suit any meal. In rural communities where corn was often grown and harvested, cornmeal mush became a way to stretch supplies and make use of local resources. It didn't require many ingredients, which made it ideal during times of scarcity. For many, this dish brings back memories of hearty, simple meals shared with family during cold winters. Would you eat cornmeal mush today? How would you prepare it? Sweet or savory? Challenge a friend or family member to share their own cornmeal mush recipe and see who can come up with the tastiest version. Sauerkraut. Homemade sauerkraut was more than just a preserved food. It was a vital source of vitamins and probiotics, helping to keep families nourished through long winters when fresh produce was scarce. The fermentation process, which could last several weeks, transformed simple cabbage into a tangy, nutrient-rich dish that was often served with meats or potatoes. This method of preservation was particularly cherished in German, Polish, and Eastern European communities, where recipes for making sauerkraut were passed down through generations. Not only did it add flavor to bland winter meals, but it also provided necessary vitamins like C and K, essential for preventing deficiencies during the colder months. The process of making sauerkraut was a communal event in many families, involving the shredding of large quantities of cabbage, salting, and packing it into barrels or jars for fermentation. The distinctive taste of sauerkraut became a beloved part of winter diets, often used in hearty dishes like stews or served alongside sausages. For many, the act of preparing sauerkraut was steeped in tradition and community, as families worked together to ensure they had enough to last the harsh winter months. Hominy. Hominy, made from dried corn kernels treated with an alkali, was once a staple in many American households during the winter. This process, known as nixtamalization, made the corn more nutritious and versatile, allowing it to be used in a variety of dishes like stews, soups, and grits. It was often stored in bulk, ensuring that families had a hearty, starchy base for many of their meals during the colder months. Though less common today, hominy was an important part of winter food preparation. Would you bring hominy back into your winter meals? Dried apples and apple butter. Dried apples were essential for families during winter when fresh produce was scarce. After harvest, apple slices were laid out to dry in the sun or by a low fire, ensuring they could be stored for months. These dried slices were often rehydrated for baking in pies or used in hearty winter stews. Alongside dried apples, apple butter was a slow-cooked delicacy, simmered for hours with spices like cinnamon and cloves, until it became a thick, sweet spread. This nutritious treat brought warmth to cold mornings, served with biscuits or bread, offering a comforting reminder of the fall harvest. The practice of making apple butter became a communal event in many rural areas, with families coming together to stir the pot for hours on end, celebrating the season's bounty. The rich, spiced flavor of homemade apple butter, often made with minimal ingredients, provided a burst of sweetness during the winter months, and for many it evokes fond memories of childhood. The long shelf life of both dried apples and apple butter made them winter staples, and their simple yet satisfying flavors are still loved by many today. Pickled eggs. Pickled eggs were a common sight in many pantries, especially during the winter months when fresh food was scarce. Eggs were preserved in a brine or vinegar solution, allowing them to be stored for long periods without refrigeration. They were often enjoyed as a snack or added to meals for a burst of flavor. For many, the sight of jars filled with pickled eggs brings back memories of old-fashioned kitchens and a time when preservation methods were essential for survival. From pickled eggs, let's shift to another long-lasting food item, jerky, which wasn't just a snack, but a necessity for winter survival. Jerky. In earlier times, jerky was far from being a simple snack. It was an essential survival tool. The process of salting and air-drying meat preserved it for long periods, ensuring families had a reliable protein source throughout winter. This preservation method was crucial in regions where fresh meat became scarce during harsh cold months. Jerky was lightweight, easy to transport, and packed with nutrition, making it perfect for long winters. Whether made from beef, pork, or wild game like venison, it was an irreplaceable part of survival kits for pioneers, hunters, and homesteaders alike. In addition to providing sustenance, making jerky was often a family event, where they would hang strips of meat to dry by the fire or in open-air spaces. With different regions and cultures adding their unique flavors and spices, jerky became both a necessity and a symbol of resourcefulness and survival. Modern jerky may be enjoyed as a snack today, but back then it was a lifeline for many households through the cold, unforgiving winters. From preserved meats to an alternative when fresh milk wasn't available, clabber milk was a staple in many homes, ensuring there was always a source of nourishment. Clabber milk. Clabber milk was a vital part of winter survival for many families before the advent of refrigeration. When fresh milk couldn't be stored or delivered during cold months, raw milk was allowed to sour and thicken, forming clabber. This fermented milk product had a tangy flavor and a thick, custard-like consistency, similar to yogurt or buttermilk. It was used in baking, added to recipes like cornbread, biscuits, or pancakes, and sometimes sweetened for eating. Clabber was rich in probiotics and nutrients, making it a valuable source of nourishment. In addition to its nutritional benefits, clabber extended the shelf life of milk, preventing spoilage. For many, clabber was a nostalgic food, reminding them of their grandparents' kitchens where milk was left out to naturally sour. It played an important role in traditional American cooking and household frugality during times when wasting food was not an option. The process of making clabber required patience, as it needed the right temperature and time to develop the desired texture. Just as clabber was a solution for preserving milk, canned fruit and jams offered families a way to save summer's bounty for the long winter ahead. Canned fruit and jams. During long winters, when fresh fruit was unavailable, families relied heavily on canned fruit and jams to satisfy their cravings for something sweet. Canning preserved the harvest from warmer months, ensuring peaches, apples, pears, and berries were available even in the coldest seasons. These preserved fruits could be used in comforting pies, cobblers, or tarts, while jams spread on bread provided simple, delicious desserts. Often, they were key ingredients in puddings and cakes, offering a sweet reminder of summer during the bleak winter. The tradition of making jams was passed down through generations. Families would gather berries in the summer and can them in preparation for winter, preserving the sweetness of summer in jars. Strawberry, blueberry, or apple butter, each variety added warmth and comfort to winter kitchens. As these sweet preserves sustained families, another form of preservation ensured light during dark winter nights. Tallow candles. Let's move on to how these humble candles lit up homes when modern lighting was a luxury. Tallow candles. Tallow candles were a critical survival tool during long winters, especially before the advent of electricity and modern lighting. Made from rendered animal fat, primarily beef or mutton, they provided essential light on the darkest nights when oil or wax was scarce. The process of making tallow candles was labor-intensive, requiring families to repeatedly dip wicks into melted fat, allowing them to harden between layers. While the light they gave off was dim and the smell distinct, these candles were vital for daily life during cold winters. Just as tallow candles illuminated homes, dried pumpkin helped brighten winter meals. Let's explore how this simple method preserved the fall harvest for use in cold months. Dried pumpkin. Dried pumpkin was a crucial part of winter survival, especially in regions with long, cold winters. By slicing pumpkins into thin strips and drying them in the sun or over a fire, families ensured they could store them for months without the need for refrigeration. Pumpkin was naturally rich in vitamins A and C, fiber, and antioxidants, providing a much-needed nutrient boost during winter when fresh produce was scarce. Rehydrated dried pumpkin could be used in everything from savory stews and porridges to pies and desserts, offering versatility in winter cuisine. Some families would sweeten the rehydrated pumpkin with molasses or honey, making a simple yet nutritious treat, while others added it to breads and cakes. Dried pumpkin was a key element in preserving the harvest and making sure no food went to waste. Not only did drying preserve the flavor, but it also allowed families to stay connected to the bounty of the fall harvest even in the dead of winter. In rural areas, it wasn't uncommon for families to gather together to dry and preserve large quantities of pumpkin, making it a communal activity as well as a practical one. Today, this method of preservation may seem old-fashioned, but it was a smart, resourceful way to ensure that families had nutritious options all year long. Speaking of resourceful, let's explore how another form of protein sustained families during the cold. Squirrel stew, a dish born out of necessity in rural communities. Squirrel stew. During harsh winters, rural families often relied on small game like squirrels to survive. Squirrel stew was a hearty meal made from whatever meat was available, combined with vegetables like potatoes, carrots, and onions. The stew was slow-cooked over a fire, filling homes with a comforting aroma and offering much-needed nutrition when other sources of food were scarce. For many, this dish was a symbol of resourcefulness and survival in tough times. Transitioning from stews, let's explore a dessert that's as unique as it sounds. Vinegar pie. Vinegar pie. Vinegar pie might sound unusual, but it was a clever dessert created during times when ingredients like fresh fruit were scarce in the winter months. Made with simple pantry staples, vinegar, sugar, butter, and eggs, this pie had a tangy, custard-like filling that mimicked the taste of fruit pies. Its tart flavor balanced with sweetness, making it a popular treat among families making the most of what they had. Now, moving from dessert to reflection, let's wrap up with some thoughts on winter survival foods. What forgotten foods would you bring back to modern kitchens? Let us know in the comments and share your memories and stories. We'd love to hear them. If you enjoyed this journey through history, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more nostalgic food stories.